I got some new Political Joe for you today, too.
Ooh, it's been a minute.
He's been MIA for a while, but he was on fire this weekend. So I'll play some new Political Joe calls. My favorite part of his calls is how he does a complete 180 from really enjoying what I do to hating my guts in this in the same call. That's my favorite part. This guy turns on a dime, and I love it. Cavaliers are off until Thursday night, a day after tomorrow. They will be back here at home to play the Denver Nuggets. Who just went to the Nuggets? Didn't somebody just get dealt to the Nuggets?
No, Bones Highland got traded from the Nuggets to the Clippers.
To the Clippers.
Yeah.
Where did Kyrie go?
Mavericks.
Anyway, 7 o'clock tip-off here at home at the Romo Fijo. Cavs Nuggets. 6:30 is when pregame coverage will begin here on MMS. Speaking of on fire, Oakwood Village, Ohio saw what was happening in East Palestine and said, hold my beer. You saw in the video of the metals plant that exploded.
Crazy.
I'm sure you saw no shortage of coverage about it. They said that fortunately no one had died. Someone has since died. 13 people sent to the hospital. It's one of those situations, again, I don't know how many people were on shift when this happened, but it's one of these things where you can't believe more people didn't get hurt or killed or whatever. This happened shortly before 3 o'clock the other day. I guess Monday. Today's Tuesday. I have to keep reminding myself that, but yesterday afternoon. And again, if you saw in the footage of just the cars in the parking lot, right? Imagine you get out of there, and I guess if you get out of there and you're safe, your car is the least of your worries. But once everything calms down, your car is going to be one of your worries.
Right.
And you got a brand new ride out there that's been completely crushed by debris. They had initially said that they had transferred 13 people to local area hospitals. One of those people has since died. But see if you can find my favorite guy in the Man in the Street coverage over there at Fox 8.
Oh, my God. I'm in Walton Hills here. There's a huge explosion over here.
Just as I was getting ready to get out of my car, I heard the explosion.
Shaking the ground, a firestorm of debris erupting from the I. Schumann and Company foundry Monday afternoon before 3.
I could see smoke from all the way over from 131st. And when we got around here, like I said, it was just a lot of debris.
And you hear a big boom. And then I look over and you see a plume of smoke and then the explosion. And it's like, I ducked and covered for a little while. And then I look and it's like all the walls are gone.
It sounded very, I love that guy's delivery of what happened, but it sounds borderline sarcastic. I'm sure he didn't mean to be. This metals plant, right off 480, it's about a 5-minute drive to Northfield Park out there. And there's the explosion.
I get Mary Santorum vibes from that delivery.
Oh,
where
the whole place blew up, big boy.
Big boy.
Well, maybe that's him. Her, whatever.
Maybe they're
and then I
related,
look over and you see a plume of smoke and then the explosion.
Bloom of smoke. I also like that, too. A bloom of
See a
smoke.
bloom of smoke, and then the explosion.
And you see a plume of smoke and then the explosion. And it's like, I ducked and covered for a little while. And then I look and it's like all the walls are gone.
From
All the walls
Skyfox, you
are gone,
see the
big
mountainous
boy.
cloud of black smoke. What's left of the building engulfed in flames, burning and crushing nearby vehicles too, sending employees at other businesses scrambling as firefighters from multiple communities race to the scene.
When we got here, we realized there was several injured people in the building. So we established an EMS sector that was triaging the patients and deciding where it was best for them to go.
Oakwood Village Fire Captain Brian DeRocco says 13 people were rushed to nearby hospitals, at least one in critical condition.
That's pretty wild. So I guess I'm glad as many people got out of there as they did. And again, I don't know the, 3 in the afternoon. I don't know what, how many people are working there then. But 13 people, and I think they said that one has since died from that. But boy, there's been a lot to watch if you know where to look between the train derailment out there in East Palestine. And a lot of people correct me on Palestine.
I say Palestine, too.
Huh?
I say Palestine, too.
I guess it's Palestine.
Yeah, it's Palestine, I believe.
Well, that's what the screaming messages I got from people calling me an idiot said. Palestine.
Oh, sorry, we've never heard of this town before.
No one's heard of this town before this train derailed.
How you don't know what it is?
Anyway, thank you for. I do want to pronounce it properly, so thank you.
I don't anymore, just to make those people mad.
Well, maybe they're from there. I don't want to. I don't. Whatever. Who cares? It's an easy fix. East Palestine, but I think like Oakland, California had 55,000. Somebody did something to the power station out there in Oakland. There were a bunch of things that happened over the course of the weekend. The EPA, by the way, is still combing through what's going on out there in East Palestine. And they have instructed that company to pay for everything, which you could see coming. Norfolk Southern, who I think that same company had that derailment outside Detroit last week. And they've said that the company is on the hook for all costs to clean up the derailment site and to pay all of the costs that will be associated with it. And you know what that means? Time to declare bankruptcy. People think that the train industry, by the way, is just getting by on pennies. It's not. There's a lot of money to be made in rail logistics. I mean, revenue for just that one company has been up year over year for the last 5. Made about $12 billion last year. And in fairness, they have to make these public filings. They put a couple $1 billion into infrastructure improvements. Just didn't do it in East Palestine, I guess. I don't know if it was on the train or the track or
Just
whatever.
about to do it, too.
But it is also one of those situations where when you're faced with that, a company don't want to do that. There's no company wants to do that. Nobody comes in and goes, well, they'll put out some PR about how the good people of East Palestine deserve to blah, blah, blah. But just in time for them to come up with something to skirt that whole thing.
Skirt.
Skirt.
My dad, we had dinner last night, my parents and my dad apparently wanted to see what was going on out there, so he drove out there and saw the.
Did he wear a mask or anything, or was he worried about breathing the air? Or?
I don't think he got that close. He just got close enough because he wanted to see the smoke, I guess. I don't know why he did that, though. He just was like, yeah, I wanted to see it. I'm like, weird.
It's on television.
You're a weird man. He's like, who's not that?
Well, but but also he's a guy that
make sure it was the truth.
But he's like a construction guy too, right? So there's probably an element of that that's curious to him.
I think it's more just he wanted
to see a big plume of black smoke?
Yeah, there was a real fire. The media wasn't just making things.
You think that's what it was?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. The things you've said about your dad believes some wild things.
Yeah,
he
does. So I don't know exactly. He kind of just said he went out there and it was a big fire and he left.
How long of a trip was that?
I didn't even ask any questions because anything I could have asked him about that would have led to a discussion that I don't want to have.
I
with
see.
Him. So I feel like that was the bait question for the night, and I didn't take it, and we just moved on and talked about happy family stuff.
Well, because they keep saying, well, we're testing the air quality and we're testing the water, and it's they tell everybody it's fine, don't worry about it.
Fine.
But then you'll see videos of people pulling water out of the river, and it's clearly not fine. I mean, you can tell just by looking at it that there's stuff going on. They're surrounded by dead wildlife, and but they've told that they've told the company that's responsible for that train, you got to pick up the tab on this. And so I imagine.
And you have to wait a little while before you make a Marky Mark movie about this. Can't just be making a Marky Mark movie about a disaster like this the first couple weeks it happened.
Now, what was the Marky Mark movie?
The water one, the big pipeline burst, the BP.
Oh, Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the BP with Kurt Russell.
Yep.
I'm thinking of that movie called Promised Land. You ever see Promised Land? With Matt Damon and Krasinski's in this.
I don't think I ever know.
It's probably about 10 years old. And he comes to town, little town, he's telling people, hey, he's trying to get people to sign over the drilling rights for a natural gas company. Mm-hmm. And Matt Damon thinks he's on the right side of things, but he starts to get to know the people in the town. And oh, my God, what have I done? Oh, and then there's a twist at the end. And They were all dead the whole time. But still an entertaining movie. They weren't dead the whole time. Not spoiling anything there. For people who want to go back on HBO and watch Promised Land. But all these environmental movies. There was Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo. I think that was one, right? Didn't he just do one that was based on a true story? Dark Waters was a true story from a couple of years ago about unregulated chemicals from the DuPont company.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They poured chemicals in there.
And then you got the OG, the Aaron Brockovich.
Yup. That's one, too.
I feel like that was the first movie I've ever seen like that, where they were exposing a company's wrongdoings like that. The first season of Reacher has some of that in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of stories like that out there. But now they got to find the right lead.
Well, that's the difficult part. I mean, there's all kinds
that's
of...
the difficult part of these natural or these environmental disasters. Who's going to play the hero in the movie?
Well, yeah. I mean, because it's the people who are in these movies, they really want to be... You know, when I was a kid, we were watching movies that were like environmental poisoning and chemicals had made animals huge.
Right.
That was the genre when I was a kid.
Or
it wasn't about what
superpowers.
Right. It wasn't about what are we doing to the planet. It was about, oh my God, because how do you get people hooked on a boring subject? You make it fantastic. And so when I was a kid, there was a movie called Frogs with the great Sam Elliott. And there was Night of the Lepus. Anybody see Night of the Lepus? Makes giant bunnies. There was Food of the Gods was another one. These were all in the 70s when I was a little kid. About Piranha. Movie Piranha. That's an environmental catastrophe movie. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid, because it was in the early day, or Alligator or any of those. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was like the turn of the decade there. 79 or 80 this came out. And so the reason I saw it is because it was on HBO all the time. And it was a movie called Prophecy. I know there's a more recent one where Christopher Walken plays the devil or something like that. I'm not talking about that one. It's one of the late 70s, early 80s called Prophecy, about this guy who goes to investigate. A guy works for the EPA or something. And he goes to investigate a logging community in New England and how there are local people who talk of these monsters they've seen. And part of it is like there's a Native American reservation or indigenous. There's a lot of different things crossing the streams in this Prophecy movie. I'm sure some people listening remember this movie. And, you know, they kind of load the deck in their favor. The guy comes to show up and he brings his wife and she happens to be pregnant. So there's an extra element of drama in it. But there's like a local paper mill that's dumping their chemicals into the waterways. And so throughout the movie, they're encountering large animals. Like a guy pulls up like a massive salmon. You know, there's like these little signposts throughout the movie that are trying to lead you to the big climax. Oh my God, what are they going to find? And I just remember I was a kid. I was 10 or 11 when I saw this. There's a scene where these people are camping and they're sleeping in their sleeping bags, and something unseen, something massive and unseen, comes out of the woods and just shreds these people in their sleeping bags. And, you know, it was I can't tell you, I've seen it recently. It was probably a terrible movie. But as a 10-year-old kid, I couldn't get enough. I saw Prophecy a dozen times. But it's probably a really bad movie. But back in the day, those were those environmental movies. They're like, okay, there's a giant, somebody drops a kid at the beginning of the movie, drops a salamander into the toilet. And then years later, you get chuds. Or you get a giant alligator or something, right? Isn't that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Isn't that the whole premise of that?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it was a
nuclear waste or something got them to... Huh?
It was an ooze.
Oh, it was an ooze that had a secret.
Yes, there was a secret of the ooze, and that secret was that it turned animals into humanoid.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers?
No, not cannibalistic.
Oh. Just regular humanoids.
Just big old, like, karate humanoids.
Karate humanoids. Well, I like that.
Well, I guess they learned that from the rat that was studying a ninja master.
Oh, a rat ninja.
Yeah.
All right.
Duh.
Well, first of all,
Have you not kept up with the
I have not.
Ninja Turtles?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't. Shredder, that's who you're talking about?
Master Splinter.
Master Splinter.
Shredder was the bad guy.
Oh. All this environmental stuff aside, there is something that we should be concerned about. And I would tell you that right now, it's the Canadian super pigs that are threatening to invade the United States. There is a super pig crossbreed. Somebody up in Canada has been breeding boars and pigs, and they've really wreaked havoc on our neighbors to the north, and they're trying to keep them from coming into this part of the country. These can weigh upwards of 600 pounds, and because they're so big, they can survive through the winters. And, so people are worried, obviously, about disease. They're like, is pig flu or something going to be the next big thing down here?
Super pig flu.
Super pig flu. And for those of us here in the Great Lakes region, that could be, Canada's our closest neighbor there.
Wasn't Super
It'd be
Pig
a big deal.
Super Pig was on Muppets, right?
Probably.
Wasn't there a Super Pig sketch they would do?
Well, I remember Pigs in Space.
Oh, Pigs in Space.
Yep.
That's what it was. Pigs in Space.
Pigs in Space was dynamite. I loved Pigs in Space.
Yeah, Pigs in Space. That's what it was.
Yeah. And Miss Piggy and some other people in there.
It's like the headlight on a motorcycle.
We know what it looks like. We want to know what it is.
Testy, testy, mon capitaine.
Doc, would you look this thing up in your book?
Yes. No. It's not listed here under any known objects.
Look under unknown objects.
How could it be in that book if it's unknown?
There are some things even pigs don't know.
Mm-hmm. Some things even pigs don't know because they're very smart animals. So anyway, the Canadian super pig is getting to be a big concern for people down here. And how would you know if you even saw one? These pigs don't even know what they're in for crossing here into the United States, where everyone's armed to the teeth. We like to shoot super pigs first and ask questions later. And if they're highly intelligent animals, which pigs are, they're also going to be highly elusive. That's what makes me think of those 70s huge animal movies. What if they start to outsmart us?
I know some guys.
What if it's like the pig version of Rambo? Where he's hiding in a cave. He puts the black under his eyes. I don't know. What?
This might be an issue because I know some guys who identify as a super pig. I'm just saying.
What makes them a super pig?
I don't know. Ask them.
You're telling me the story.
Tell us about it.
Well, they're in each community. There's a lot of subcultures within the gay community, and pigs are one of them. And there are guys that like to.
Well, what's a pig in the community?
I know what a bear is. What's a pig in the gay community?
Pigs, otters. I've never heard of a pig.
I'm not too familiar with them, but I think they like to, sniff butts or something like that.
Truffles.
I don't want to say it wrong because they'll come for me. the pigs will get me. But I'm just saying, I know people that is their thing. They are a pig, and they're into smell, they're into taste, they're into a lot of stuff.
They want to get all up in it.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm not a part of that.
So this is a pig play.
Yes.
What it looks like. So I imagine it's similar to pup play, but you are doing.
Yes. Pig
more
stuff.
Pig
A homosexual man who likes to have dirty sex is what it says, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's not me. It's not my genre, but that is what they're into, and that's fine. But I do know some guys that is their thing, and God bless them. They need it.
Well, okay. I don't know if that qualifies as super pigs, but that's another thing. Now Poundcake has introduced another thing to look out for. Gay super pigs.
Or you can just call them super pigs. I don't know if there's any heterosexual super pigs.
Well, dirty sex, yeah, I think there's plenty of heterosexuals
because it's
who enjoy
like
that
part
kind
of that is people that don't wear deodorant. So people that
Yeah.
don't get those kinds of smell.
There you
They're
go.
into smell. They're into taste. They want all of the stuff, all the fixins,
All the fluids.
All the sensory.
All the fixins.
The fixins.
all the seasoning.
Gross. All right. Well, we don't want to bore you anymore with a story about super pigs, but I've got to take a break. Hey, Ugly Kid Joe, remember them? They are on the road, and they're